I'm okay. I'm a little groggy. So I recently went to the doctor to talk about like the fact that my brain's not working, and that's terrifying, because we're surrounded by people whose brains stopped working and they let it go on forever and ever and ever. So, well, she said, well, like the first thing I want to see is like we get you sleeping well, because like even though I've been on a CPAP for 6 weeks, I still have not been like takes forever to fall asleep, don't stay asleep. But like I lose my words when I try to talk. Like I can't think of the word that I want to say. It takes a minute and I have to like close my eyes and focus. So then I'm like, I don't know, maybe we need to increase my Adderall too. I don't know what's going on. So, but anyways, long story short, she gave me a prescription for like I don't want to call it a sleeping pill because it's not like Ambien.
It's like a sleeping aid.
A sleeping aid. Mm-hmm. And it's like very tiny, 10 milligrams. And it says take 1 to 2 a night. And so I took it for the first time last night and I took 2 and that was very dumb. So I like made myself wake up at 9 and like, I was like, whoa, and I'm still very like cotton-headed Ninny Muggins.
Oh.
But I got good sleep.
Well, that's good.
So, that's good. So I'm glad I did it on a weekend instead of like, hey, let's roll the dice.
Missing more work. Hello and welcome to the I Love You Bet podcast. I'm Heather and this is my sister,
Rian. Each week we will revisit relics of our childhoods using our multiple master's degrees
to critically evaluate the crap that consumed our misspent youth. So join us,
sisters, latchkey kids, cuspers, and lazy feminists as we look back at our past to say, I love you, but...
I had a massage, so I fell asleep on the table. It was such a good massage.
Oh, that's good. I'm thinking about asking for that for Christmas from Ben.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Or we can just bite, like he sent me this tool device that he wants. And I'm like, I really don't want to spend $85 on that. But like, so maybe I'll just be like, you do you and I'll do me. And
tell each other.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I've become such a mom. Like yesterday at Costco, I was buying a couple Christmas things and like I bought a new kitchen floor mat. And I'm like, maybe I'll just wrap it up and put it under the tree as a present for myself.
I do that and I'm not a mom. So
what?
I do that and
I'm not a mom. Yes.
Yeah. That's okay.
It's okay.
So you wasted time shopping?
Did I have a good time shopping?
No, you wasted time shopping.
I don't know that I wasted time. Like, yeah. Because I keep going to Costco on Saturdays because, again, the pharmacy's not open and like I keep getting all these medications and
other places fill prescriptions, right?
I know, but they know me and I like that. And when I read articles about how we're all becoming like disconnected zombies who do everything we can to avoid human interaction, I also question if that's one of the reasons I go to Costco on Saturdays is because it forces me to interact with people. But yeah.
Keep digging in that well. Get it, girl.
Yeah.
The well of excuses.
No, it's because I'm too tired to go during the week. That's why I go on Saturday.
I know.
It doesn't bother me. I like going, by myself. So it's like, what else am I going to do? Go home and clean my house?
It's fine. You can do whatever you want to do. Later, I get to fill out a disclosure agreement about Eddie's house, so that'll be fun.
So I'm glad Eddie's okay with selling the house.
Yeah, like he actively said it yesterday.
Yeah.
Like when someone buys it, I was like, whoa, hey, look at you. So
I mean, I hope that helps you. I mean, I don't think you were like second guessing your choices about moving him, but I hope at least it probably makes it easier that he's not fighting.
I mean, he has the best life right now. Like, he has chauffeurs who drive him everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, Martha was asking me about you yesterday. She's like, so what is Heather like, And I was like, I mean, she's just taking, I mean, they drive over there every morning. They do that, like.
I don't go every morning anymore.
Oh, you don't? Okay, well.
Yeah, he's good.
But, y'all see him every day. I'll take him all over the place.
Yes.
So, yes, he has more. He's probably the most well-entertained person living in assisted living ever.
Definitely. Well, it's just one of those things where it's like, I always think about, like, if it were me, what would I want, But I have to put it in the context of this is a person who gave his adult life caring for another person,
Yeah.
And now there's nobody to care for him.
Yeah.
And pretty soon he's not going to be a person, he's just going to be a body. So why not? Let's live it up. Let's do it. So once we get the house sold, then the next step is he wants to go see 3 of his libraries. So I'm going to plan those trips.
Nice. Which 3?
There's one in Baton Rouge. So we'll probably do like a New Orleans 4-day trip kind of thing. And then there's one in Midland, which I'm hoping we can just fly and see it and fly back. Yep, that was Midland. And then there's one in Michigan, which will be at least an overnight, just because there's no direct flights anywhere nearby. So,
I couldn't remember if he had any internationally or not. Like, no. Ooh.
He's done other ones, but those were his favorites. So, good times. This week, I wasted time going. Well, I didn't waste time, but one thing I did was I went to a friend's memorial service for his father. And that led to 2 different things. One was I was telling my friends, the ones that we just went on vacation with, about how I was worried about mom. And so we went to the doctor and then, her drinking. And I was like, you can be a sloppy bitch if you want to be a sloppy bitch. And, when she was like, I don't want to be a sloppy bitch. And like my friend interrupted me and said, did you actually call her a sloppy bitch to her face? I was like, yeah, man, like y'all just waste time with all this deference and like respect to shit. Like they're old. They don't have time for this. You got to get to the point and you got to make that point over and over and over and over again because they are not rational. They're not making good decisions. They're just going to be stubborn and shitty about it. So like, don't waste your time. Like use the best words that you have at your disposal.
I really want a gif of mom crying and saying, I don't want to be a sloppy bitch. Like, I need that in my life. I wish. Well, but whatever. Well, okay. Now, first of all, it's not like you went from deference and blah, blah, blah overnight to being like, you a sloppy bitch. Like, our relationship with our parents is very different than the relationship most people cultivate with their parents. So there's an element of that as well. I mean, yes, I agree. Like like people need to stop with the bullshit and like beating around the bush or like not saying things. But, it's a big jump from that to like being like calling your mom a sloppy bitch.
I mean, I'm not saying like I'm on the sloppy bitch end and you're on the I can't say no to my parents or talk to them about anything end. Slide toward the middle if you need to. You don't have to be all the way on my side, but like,
yeah, get somewhere where you can be like, yeah.
And the other thing I decided, because literally they talked about this man and they talked about how much he likes spreadsheets and they called him a middle manager. And I was like, no. No.
Like that's his legacy?
Yeah. I mean, they were like, I knew you liked hunting. And I'm like, no. And so it was like, okay. So when I was driving Eddie back yesterday from Dallas, we were listening to the B-52's Spotify playlist. And I was like, okay, this is what I want. I'm gonna send it to your mom so you have it, and probably somebody else younger and healthier. Just in case.
The Austin. Send it to the Austin children.
This is what I want. I want these B-52 songs played in this order. And then, yes, because when you dance, you release stress, you know, like, so like, I don't want people to be talking about spreadsheets. Like, I don't want them to be talking about shit. Like, I just want people to dance. And so like, I'm also going to have links there of like how to do like the most basic 60s style dancing where people can go dance. Like, you can do this dance, get up.
Okay, hold on, wait a minute. So are you saying that you're going to have a spreadsheet so that we don't talk about your life being about spreadsheets?
The list, not a spreadsheet. It's not the same thing.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So you want us to 60 styles dance to the B-52s?
Yes. Very much.
Interesting. We'll make a copy for Elliot and put it somewhere where he'll be able to find it later too. Okay.
I mean, his ADHD, no thanks. I'm going to put somebody else in charge. I'll put Katie in charge. She'll do it. What? It's fine. Why are you mad?
You can't diagnose a 5-year-old with ADHD, but okay.
Okay.
We did have a conversation about neurodivergence yesterday, though, so.
Is as yet to be diagnosed ADHD. And then I had 2 fun, awkward interactions, but what do you want to talk about?
Nothing. Go ahead. Fun, awkward interactions.
So one was I was in the line for In-N-Out Burger, and the person who took my order was like, "You have a lovely voice." And I don't know what you're supposed to say when someone says that to you, but I said, "Thanks, I have a podcast."
I was just going to say, you say, "Oh, well, I do have a podcast."
And then she was sweet and was like, "Oh, what's it called?" And I was like, "Oh, no, this went too far."
But what's the point of telling people you have a podcast if you're not going to tell them?
No. Then I told her, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then yesterday when we went to brunch in Dallas, our little waiter, I think, was flirting with me. I'm not sure. It was hard to tell. But then he was trying to act like we were the same age. And I'm like, "Honey, I'm looking at your face. I know we are nowhere near because he was trying to act like, you know, like Riz wasn't his generation or whatever. And he was like, "I don't like it." And I was like, "I like it." Like, he's like, "Charisma is a great word." I'm like, "Charisma is a long word." Like, the whole point of somebody who's charming is that, like, you don't need that long to describe them. Like, I like Riz. I don't mind Riz. And so then we started talking about Skibbity and how we didn't like that at all. Like, that was no good. He was like, "I mean, we had awesome and rad." And I'm like, what? You didn't have rad, were you too? If that, like, maybe you have older siblings. And so he's doing all this, and he's got like these bright blue eyes and very pale skin. And we're talking and we're talking and we're talking. And he's like, "Okay, well, if you guys come back, ask for me because I'd love to serve you again." And he was like, "I'm Alejandro." Are you? Where did that come from? Okay.
Was he Latino?
I mean, I guess he is, or he's very weird. But
is he the guy that works at the Oklahoma Museum of Modern?
No. But no. So yeah, so that was just awkwardness because I was like, "Are you flirting?" I mean, I'm like joking around with you. I don't think I'm flirting. It was just very weird. But I like the idea of somebody pretending to be older than they are to flirt with me. Like, that's very entertaining.
I mean, you don't think he was just trying to get a good tip? Like, because that's always my go-to with servers being overly friendly.
No.
Okay. So who was it? It was you and Eddie?
Yes, and we met Susan and Paul there.
Oh, okay.
So that was nice.
I am a little sad that we don't have an excuse to go to the Smoky Rose more often.
I mean, we can just go to Dallas. It's not that bad. Across the street from the Arboretum. The Arboretum gets all dressed up. Although I think it'll be finished dressing up by the time you get here. Most of the Christmas stuff will be over by the time you get here. So,
yeah.
Wah, wah.
Our timing is bad. I did say that yesterday. Like, I was texting. So, like, I saw a thing at Costco that it was like, "Hey, I don't know what your plans with that later are, but this is a pretty good price on a thing that could live at the farm." it was like a kid's tool workbench or whatever. And so
I got him one of those. He didn't use it.
It was like a plastic one. This is like a real one. Like it's like Craftsman, real tools. Like, yeah. You got him one in like 1,000 other things. So, and then when we're there, you're like, let's go here, let's go there, let's go here, let's go here, let's go here, let's go here, let's go here. Like, no wonder the child never plays with anything at that house. He's never at that house.
I ain't planning shit this year, so
Good.
We'll see what happens.
My number one piece of advice. I gave that advice to you all when I left him there. Like, don't do things.
Mm-hmm.
So, anywho's will be so, and like, I was like, well, I'm done with Mom and Heather, and I'm done with Elliot. And I was like, I have no idea what to get your mother or you. And then I said, in fact, really, y'all's present, your big present, you and your mom, is the fact that Elliot and I are staying here this year. Like, me not being with my family at Christmas is, because to me, it's like, that's a huge sacrifice on my part, right? Like, that's more than like a financial, like, I'm giving you this thing that you want that I don't, you know what I mean? Like, so to me, I'm not just trying to be an asshole. I'm like, yeah, that's legitimate. Like,
yeah, it's a gift.
I mean, as my son gets his desire to do the same thing the same way all the time from me. I also wasted time this week by watching the series Someone Somewhere.
Yeah.
Have you watched that?
No, but I've heard it's really good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And it deals with like a lot of the shit we're dealing with. So
yeah.
I had watched a few episodes, and then Ben and I watched one. But it's a great show. It's I don't know. It's hard to explain like why it's so good, but it's just like real people doing real things. And so I've watched way too much of that.
I think HBO finally canceled it.
Great. Thanks.
They're trying to get people to write in to get it to come back.
How'd you waste time this week, Heather Davis?
I told you all the things. That's
okay. We just didn't do an official.
Yeah.
I started watching a Netflix Christmas movie last night that Ben and I also saw advertised, and we're like, what the fuck? And so far it's not as bad as I thought. Granted, the bar
was Hot Frosty?
Yes, it's Hot Frosty. I saw the little clip and we were like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck? But then there's like good people in it. Like Craig Ferguson's in it, or Robinson's in it. Craig Ferguson's that British white guy. Robinson, oh my God, is in it. And like that other guy from the state in Reno 911.
Well, that's good.
And, I'm not going to say it's good, but whatever. It's.
I texted Jody and Angie, and I was like, can we like watch Hot Frosty at the same time and text about it? I didn't get the most enthusiastic replies. So
God forbid y'all get together and watch it.
Well, Angie moved to Wisconsin, so.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
okay.
It's kind of hard to get together. She's really having a hard time.
They were just like, sure.
I will pull up the reply. Angie just texted.
Well, there you go.
So I said, can we watch Hot Frosty and text about it? And then I said, not right now. And Angie said, Hot Frosty. And Jody said, I might have started it last night. I clearly need a red scarf. And then Angie says, I'll have to check it out while Jim is napping or studying. And then Jody said she watched Harold and the Purple Crayon with the boys, and it was surprisingly good if you want something wholesome. And then if we're in a spicy mood, Tell Me Lies on Hulu is very messed up and spicy. And then Angie just replied to my original, can we watch Hot Frosty and text about it? She replied, can I get my 2 hours back? So I guess that's how Angie wasted time this weekend.
Yeah. I was like watching half of it and I was like, I'm just going to go to bed. This is not good enough.
Most of those Christmas movies are just pure garbage. Like, they really are. But, like, you just have to know that going in and be like, okay, this is fine. Like, I'm fine with this being garbage.
But it's like, I told Ben, it's like the Netflix ones at least sometimes have like actual sex and cursing. So like they're better than like the fucking Hallmark.
Yeah.
It's just like, nothing bad ever happens in this town.
Back on the cheek. We're in love.
We might as well be a movie from 1944.
Speaking of, what do you remember about Mimi and St. Louis from 1944?
You know, I remember every goddamn thing about this movie. I watch it every year.
I can't remember. Did we watch it as kids?
I can remember the first time we watched it.
Okay.
Or what I, in my mind, recall is the first time we saw this movie. So I did.
It was in the 80s.
It might not even have been it might have been in the 90s, but okay. I remember we watched. What I remember is watching it at Grandma and Papa's.
Okay.
And Mom was like, She mommed the whole movie. Yeah. Like very much like she did a White Christmas. Yeah. And like it had to be the 90s because we were older, because I think we were kind of making fun of it a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So like the party scene, I think we were like, what the fuck? Like, come on. Like, did people really do this?
Skip to Baloo.
Yeah. And she's like, no, like people did do this. And I'm like, first of all, you weren't alive then. Like in 1944 or 1903.
Right.
You know,
but I mean, to be fair, they probably did do that shit in Marlin, Texas.
They probably did do that shit in Marlin, Texas, because they're like, you know, in 1955 it was 1903. Yeah. Like, but yeah, so I remember that being the first time I watched it. I cannot recall how it became part of my annual like Christmas movie rotation, but it has been for a very long time. I know that.
Yeah.
And so we weren't older, but we must have been like young. Like I was young high school at least, like maybe like a freshman in high school or something. So you would have been a senior or something like that. So like late middle school for me, early high school, you know, or whatever for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I said I couldn't remember if we watched it as kids, but we've seen it a lot, so too bad. Margaret O'Brien is the best. I love that they play actual Halloween tricks, and it's not just about treats. And then I remember that Judy Garland has a lot of soft lighting.
every time she starts to sing, or every time it like goes in on her, it's like stop focus. For some reason, I recall, and I don't know if this is true, but I remember Mom. I believed that Mom had told us that Judy Garland was pregnant with Liza during this, and that's not true.
That's not true.
Yeah. So this basically with this watching, I just did a lot of research because I've seen the movie so many times. Like there wasn't a whole lot, and I don't know that it like really sparks a lot of conversation as far as the movie itself and the plot of the movie.
I have a lot of notes.
Oh, do you? Okay. Is Margaret O'Brien the older sister?
Margaret O'Brien is Tootie.
Oh, Tootie, yeah. Okay, so I do have I have questions before we get started.
Okay.
Who is your favorite character?
In the film?
In the film.
The maid.
Okay.
Followed by Rose.
No, Anna's the mom.
Yeah. I don't remember the maid's name. Sorry, maid. She also disappears. Like after they say they're going to move, she never shows up again.
Well, they're not looking for a new job.
I know. Or she might get $15 a month. And then I like Rose, the older sister. This was all college.
Yeah. Okay. Tootie and the grandpa are my favorite characters.
Of course.
Who are your least favorite characters?
The boyfriends.
All the men. Every man in the movie. Oh, that you're done. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. That was it. Boyfriends. They're so lame.
I don't know if I have a least favorite. I mean, I put that question on there now. I mean, I guess the dad's kind of like,
yeah,
he's not super.
He trusts.
Yeah. And then which part of the movie did you want to, or did you actually fast forward through?
I would have to go back and look at when I started taking a bunch of notes. I mean, literally, Ryan, like, I'm not kidding. So, like, My notes start here. Like, this is the most notes I've written in a really long.
Wow.
A lot of notes.
Wow.
I think during the musical, like any musical number, I would just like, because nothing was happening, you know.
Yeah.
And most of the musical numbers, it would just be like, and Judy Garland singing, and she's sashaying around. I'm like, well, that's boring as shit. I don't need to watch that. The
charade moment of this movie for me is when the mom and the dad sing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm like, man.
I definitely didn't pay attention to that song at all.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm now coining the phrase charade moment.
That's fair, especially for a musical.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, proceed.
Okay, so it starts off and you've got a car coming through and horses, and I was like, what a time! And there's another time later where it's like they're trying to show sort of that they're in this changing time where
Industrial Revolution, Gilded Age.
things are moving. And then I wondered, is that vat of ketchup just for supper, or was it for the entire year? Was that the month supply of ketchup?
It is a long-term supply because people used to make their own shit then, remember? Like,
yeah, I know. And then I was like, oh, Grandpa's beanie. So yeah, I'm like, circle. Right? And then he's a man of many fun hats. So
he is. I want a pre-story. What's it called? When they go and tell the pre-story, the prequel. I want a prequel about Grandpa.
Oh, do you? Okay. I mean, I kind of miss, like, they still do it now. They still put grandparents in movies, but I don't know. They seem to have a better way of doing it in the past, I think.
Yeah.
They just can't recreate that. Most of the time now, they just make the grandparent an alcoholic. And like, well, that's funny. Grandma's drinking. Like, is it?
Well,
Grandma could be funny without drinking.
For some kids, it's true.
But Grandma ain't a sloppy bitch. I will say that apparently Meet Me in St. Louis was the banger of 1903 because everybody was singing that song like,
well, it was quite the event. It was quite the thing. I mean, I did research on the World's Fair, and then I did research on Halloween. That were like the two kind of research holes I went. Well, and some on like Liza Minnelli's, like not Liza Minnelli, Judy Garland, and trying to figure out when she would have been pregnant and all of that.
Vincente.
But no, like it put St. Louis on the map. It really did. Well,
because it was three things that happened. So they had the one that they show at the end of the movie isn't the World's Fair. It's something else.
It was.
Okay.
It's the Louisiana Purchase Exposition.
Oh, that was the World's Fair?
That's the World's Fair, yeah. So
okay. Well, apparently they also hosted the Olympic Games.
Oh, okay.
And it was like the most expensive. Like it's like the Olympic Games notoriously always go into debt and they shouldn't keep happening. And that year it almost killed them because like everything was overshadowed by the fair. And that like people that won didn't get paid for like a really long time. It was like, this almost killed the Olympics. And I'm like, why didn't you just let it die? Quit doing this. Like the Olympics are bad. For many reasons.
There's still a World's Fair. Like they have World's Fairs all the time. Like they're still ongoing. Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. So like I went down because she's like, they make it sound like this is the first World's Fair that had ever happened.
Oh, that's not true because they have one in London.
Or like it's the first World's Fair that's ever happened in like
the U.S., which is also
which is also not true. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But it was to celebrate the centennial of buying of the Louisiana Purchase, which is why it was called the Louisiana Purchase Exposition. But it's just like, when was this song written? I mean, I guess they would have made the decision to have the World's Fair like there at some point. So I didn't
look up the song. Did you look at it?
The history of the song, but I didn't.
Oh, wow. Thanks.
This was very groggy research done by someone with ADHD. So it cost, so roughly that World's Fair cost the equivalent of $509 million in 2023 dollars.
Okay. Yeah, but it probably made it back for sure.
Yeah, it did. Over 20 million people attended.
Yeah.
And it like opened in April 30th and was open for like 6 months, which is how much it usually. But the very first one that I could find was in 1791 in Prague in what was then known as Bohemia, which seems
cool.
fitting.
Let's go to Bohemia.
Yes.
Cool.
So, some of the featured things featured at the St. Louis World's Fair, aka the Louisiana Purchase Exposition, was the X-ray machine.
Cool.
Outdoor electric lighting. Private automobiles.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So.
Automobile. So the other fun thing we get in this movie is that Rose doesn't want to be proposed to over an invention.
Well, I mean,
the
maid says she shouldn't be proposed to over an invention.
Okay.
Rose just doesn't want to act like marriage is her only option.
Yeah, no, I like that for her. Do you think
but marriage is her only option?
What? Rose
I mean, I like that she
go...
wants to act like that's not her only option, but it's 1903.
Well, she could go to college. That's what her dad kept saying. She could go to college.
Until she...
Yeah, gets married.
Yeah. Okay, anyways.
Oh, yeah. No, we got some fuck the patriarchy coming up. Don't worry.
Oh, good.
Do you... I know for sure somebody has been proposed to or proposed to someone over text at this point. Absolutely. There's no way it's not happened. Do you think there have been any successful marriages that started with a text proposal?
I mean, I think statistically, I would say no, but there's always going to be. And then you get into the whole
outliers.
What do you call successful? Like they're still married, or they're happily married, or like if they texted because they don't live in the same place and they still don't live in the same place, but they're married, then yeah, it's probably a successful marriage.
Yeah, they're probably doing good. Hey, can I get one of those? That sounds great. So because we have it in HD now, lovely. The boy next door has garden gnomes in his yard.
That's his mom's house.
Oh, it's his mom's house?
Yeah. Because later on, she's like, they say something to the kids about like, be careful, don't like run over Mrs. Truitt's flowers she just planted or some shit.
So he grew up there? But they act like he's brand new?
I think they like just moved there.
Oh, so you just never see this bitch.
How can a college student afford like a giant house, Heather? Come on.
I mean, he was white, so I figured that was...
But he's like in college, not working, playing basketball, learning about engineering. Yeah, no, I think like...
Playing basketball all the time. Okay,
yeah.
Good. That makes me feel better because I was like, he has all those garden gnomes. He's a serial killer. Like,
no, I think
under 30 with garden gnomes, serial killer. So, yeah. They talk about finding out how unimportant the boys aren't that important, and I wish that I'd found out a lot earlier how unimportant boys are.
Yeah, but like she says that, but then her whole life is still about boys. So like,
yeah, I know, but they also don't have a choice. But
I know.
Also, yes. I mean, to me, they're like trying to find some agency in all of this. Like,
okay,
they're the drivers of the romance. They're not leaving it to chance.
They're the ones that are scheming.
I'm going to say something now that a lot of people are going to be really upset by.
Ooh.
So go ahead and hit your 15-second jump, y'all. Do you think that pedophiles love this movie? Because Margaret O'Brien is like wet at one point and then like shirtless at another point. There's some other part where she's nude and I'm like, it's a lot of naked child running around. Like,
yeah,
there are probably some people who enjoy this movie for some wrong reasons.
Which at the beginning, that's not Judy. That's Gladys. That's the other one.
Okay.
But whatever. Yeah, still.
Agnes.
Naked Agnes. Gladys Agnes. What the fuck ever. It's still a terrible
name.
A horrible name. Yeah. But yeah, like when she's walking through in her wet, like, I mean, basically her underwear, I was like,
yeah,
not need to see her wet butt. Like, what is going on with this?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like pedophiles have the internet, so I don't think they need to watch.
Yeah, but I mean, like, before, right?
Before, would you even have been able to see it? Like you said, it's in HD. Like,
well, yeah, because it would have shown in the movie theater. It would have been real big.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess people didn't think about. I mean, I don't think people like taught as much about like kids being naked. Like, I don't think kids were sexualized in that way. I mean, maybe pedophiles, yes.
They are by pedophiles.
Well, yeah, but I think that, yeah, like other people. But sure, yes, pedophiles love this.
There are some arguments to be made by that if you go back to the Shirley Temple movies. But anyway, so we're wearing PJs and robes before dinner. Very odd, I guess, because it was hot? ?
Well, because they were washing their hair. Everybody was showering before dinner.
Judy is the OG autism. So I gotta say about her. Yeah, just like Rose is crying.
I don't know about autism. Like, definitely like some kind of neurodivergence, but I don't know if autism is it. I do think I need to tell Lainey to watch this so she'll be less like concerned about Everly's like obsession with death and
yeah.
Like just watch this. It's fine.
Yeah. The fragility of the male ego, the poor dad when he gets shut down and nobody tells him anything. Yes. Nobody can answer the telephone but him.
I do like the grandfather who's like, your dad has the benefit of getting to work all day to take care of us. He can't have everything.
I know, I did like that a lot.
That is definitely the mother's dad.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
They say his name at one point later in the movie so that you know for sure because it's not the same last name. So
no, yeah.
Also, that thing with the dad and the phone happened to me once. One of the times I was living here in my 20s, somebody called at like midnight. And I picked up the phone. This is back when we had landlines, y'all. And I picked up the phone and I was like, hello. And some guy was like, Heather. And I was like, hi. And then dad, in his groggy ass, picked up the other phone in the back and was like, hello. I was like, Heather. And I was like, dad, hang up. What? It's like, I don't know who the hell it was. Somebody randomly, Judy called me. And I just ended up hanging up the phone because it was too confusing and they didn't call back. So, oh well.
And dad got mad?
No, he was just tired and useless.
Oh, well, we were like, this happened to me. I can imagine dad be like, who's fucking calling our house at midnight?
No, just the uselessness of like, you have messed this up. Get off the phone. But then, unlike
Rose. If we'd only had one phone in the house like they had, then it wouldn't have happened. So.
I'm like trying to change dinner and all this shit. It's so good. And then dad comes in and screws it all up. So I guess, how they were shouting over the phone and you and mom like to shout when you're on the phone? Do you think we ever needed to shout on the phone? Like maybe the very first phone you had to shout to be heard. But then like after that, we all just shout for no reason when we're on the phone. Like,
I think it's like the same thing about, remember when we would play Mario and then we'd have the controller and then we want to make him jump and we'd like jump the control. I think it's like that. Like our brain's telling us that they're far away and that so we need to shout.
Warren is a schmuck, so fuck the patriarchy. But I do gotta love a family that sticks together despite it all. I did feel like that. Definitely subconsciously, if not consciously, that is the reason why we love this movie is that the family are so close and they do stick together. Like they get these lame boys that don't have any families. Like you're part of our family now. You belong to us. We are a family.
And like they can be mean to each other, but no one else can be mean to them.
That's right. Yeah, because they stick together.
You're like, I can call you a heifer, but no one else gets to make fun of you.
Yeah. The bloom rubbed off. Boys don't like.
Oh my god! Yes,
the bloom rubbed.
Personally, I think I have too much bloom. I'm like, girl, you got married at 19. You ain't got no bloom. Your bloom is gone. Your bloom gone. And then you married someone 20 years older than you. No bloom.
And then Judy Garland shows up in the couch dress with the tassels. So many tassels.
Channeling some Gone with the Wind there.
But then I was like, I can't wait to do research and discover that Judy Garland was like 20 and Vincente Minnelli was like 50, and he's the one who got her hooked on uppers or what?
That was the studio.
It was the studio.
Yeah.
Did you read all the IMDb trivia?
No, but I've read a lot about Judy Garland's life. Like I read a biography or a biography of her, and
they shot it over 50 days, and she either missed or was late, significantly late for 17 of the days. And she had worked with the actress who played her mother on another movie, and the actress was getting fed up with it, and she came into her dressing room, and Judy Garland was just like obsessively brushing her hair. And she was like, "Oh, mother, well, I'm so glad you're here." And she was like, "This is completely unprofessional. There are 100 people waiting on you right now. We can't do anything until you get out there." And she was like, "I can't sleep. I can't sleep, mother." And she was like, "Get out there." Like she just blew it off. And then she said that later when she found out what was going on, she was like, "It's not pretty bad."
Yeah. No, I mean,
more supportive.
They'd give her uppers to wake her up, and then they'd give her downers to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then awesome. Alcohol. And I mean, let's see.
She died when she was 47.
In 1901. No,
I wrote it down.
Yeah.
He
was born when this movie was set.
Yeah. She was 22 when it was released. He was 41. So it's, I mean, it's not great.
But yeah. And then they were married like a year later. They were married in 45.
Okay. Oh, another fun dates that I wrote down. Where's that set of dates? Where is it? I have it in here somewhere. Oh, Meet Me in St. Louis began production December 1st, 1943. The U.S. entered World War II on December 8th, 1941. So we were 2 years into World War II when they started filming this movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, they're still making movies, yeah.
Give me all the distractions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that part of it was they wanted to keep people distracted or happy, like keep everyone like everything's normal, everything's fine.
Yeah.
I did find out a movie. I haven't watched it, but like I saw a movie of hers that it was her first dramatic non-musical role was about during this time as well. So I want to go back and try to watch that because I don't know that I've ever watched her in anything that wasn't a musical.
So she wears the tassel dress down to the house party, where a young woman is playing the trumpet, such an elegant instrument.
Well, she had glasses, so, what
is she going to do?
She had nothing to live for. She might as well play the fucking trumpet. No one's ever going to marry her. She's got glasses.
And then I like that it was a remix of old-ass songs. It wasn't just one old-ass song. It was like a remix.
It was like that Pitch Perfect, but like with old-ass songs.
Exactly. Oh, where's my partner? Too bad for you. Ba-ba-doo.
I mean, this is what our parties were like that we used to have as teenagers. Like 100%, right? Like, isn't that what we were doing?
No.
Sitting around singing songs, playing music, showing off our talents?
No. That's what I would have liked, but that's not what we did. Rose, the actress, has a beautiful voice. Apparently Judy Garland hated her, but oh well. And then at this point, when we were watching and the trumpet and the old song remix, all I could think is that I'd really, really, like, if I could have one wish, and I realize this is probably a waste of wish because everybody would be like, live forever, fly, have money, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I would just like to watch this movie with John Mulaney. While wearing a diaper, because I know I would laugh so hard I'd think.
Yeah, I don't think live forever is ever going to be like on my list of wishes.
Yeah, no, it sounds terrible.
Yeah.
And then when they do the cakewalk song or whatever,
Yeah.
Judy really reminded me of Augustus, like some of the faces that she was making.
Oh, really?
How she was acting. But also, that's some racist ass shit. And the bus in the hallway, I don't know what that was. Like,
the bus in the hallway?
Yeah, there were like two busts of very, very dark skinned people.
Oh, bust with a T.
Yeah.
I was like, the bus in the hallway? What are you talking about?
Yeah, they had two buses in the hallway. You
Did we watch the same movie? The bus. The bus. Why can't I say that word?
I don't know. It's okay. You don't have to. Also, I think we should bring back the phrase ginger peachy.
Okay. So this scene, relates to like thoughts I've been having lately about like I'm gonna try to get the thoughts out and the words out. So like I've just been thinking lately about like generationally and like, you know, they all like sat around like, oh, let's have a party where we like, I don't know, play our instruments and sing songs and have conversation and whatever. And like maybe we didn't do that or you all didn't do that, but like, you know, I was thinking about how like your group of friends, like was Gen X the last, I don't know, I guess bohemian-y or like I don't know what you would call it, but like the last interesting generation. And like it goes back to that article that Bill sent us today that I was reading. He was like, and like one it says everyone's boring.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, because you all like, I mean, y'all played board games and you had like Seeking the Muse and, you know, y'all are seeking to, you know, you had Lit Mag and then you had your like underground lit mag. And then, you know, and like
it almost got us expelled.
School projects that y'all, you know, when you did your whole like school project would film and like, you know, it's like there's no way that if I gave students now any like liberty to do that, they would ever come up with anything like that.
You don't even think they could make a TikTok? Like I feel like TikTok is their thing, but the TikTok is so individual, you know, so they can't do anything as a group.
I mean, there's been occasion where kids have put in the effort and like, yes, like very like there are a few that kind of come close, I think, to that. And like, but like even my friends, like we didn't do stuff like that. Like we didn't do anything. Like we, you know. And then like I was thinking about how like I don't know if you remember if you ever watched the like documentary about the making of Wet Hot American Summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like that game, like the cast was playing a game, and like they like the other people like were trying to figure out what the rules of the game were.
Yeah.
You know, and then like when we were with all those people like on that trip recently, and like it's just like I don't know. And like to me, the people who were in Wet Hot American are like all Gen X as well. Like they're older Gen X.
Yeah, they are. They're
still Gen X, and so it just was like
we're cusp. Like
yeah, and I mean like I don't necessarily consider myself a millennial, but I still think we were very like. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like this just kind of reminded me of that, and like
I'm listening. I mean, I don't know. I still think like I was explaining it to Susan and Paul yesterday, and I was like, it like with that group of friends, to me, it'd be like if you were friends with Beyonce. Like you'd have other friends, right? You'd have other friends, but then you'd be friends with Beyonce. So like. Your other friends are going to be cool people, but they're not fucking Beyonce. Like, they're just not, because only Beyonce is Beyonce, right? Like, she just is. And I'm not saying my friends are Beyonce, but what I'm trying to say is...
Sounds like you're saying this group of people are Beyonce.
No. What I'm trying to say is that there is something special about them that is not easily found in other people.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I get that. Like, I do think there's a uniqueness to it as well.
Because I don't know how many other people were doing the kind of stuff we were doing. It was like we had the creativity, but not the generational wealth.
Yeah.
To put behind it, you know? Whereas
you think about like, like on Gilmore Girls, like the fucking Life and Death Brigade.
Yeah.
Like that, like, I guess that's what y'all probably would have been like if you had, generational wealth and assholes. And you were assholes. Even then, like, and you like that movie Manhattan, which like isn't, I mean, they did the same kind of shit too, right?
I like the movie Metropolitan. Manhattan is a Woody Allen movie. I try very hard not to like Woody Allen movies, even though most people try to separate.
You know what? Like, to be fair, like I take a lot of shit for my strong stances on things that I hate. I have always hated Woody Allen, and I just want that to go on the record. It's like I get a lot of shit for Radiohead and a lot of shit for not liking Austin, and I've taken a lot of shit for not liking Kurt Vonnegut, and now I get a lot of shit for not liking fucking Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac. But whatever. Like, not like I have never liked Woody Allen. I've hated
Woody Allen, girl. You got it. You got it.
So fuck all y'all, and I might be right about the other shit too.
Do you have anything else to add to the everybody's boring now?
I don't know.
Oh, you're so sad.
I am so sad. Like, it's just
still have so many pages of notes.
Well, it's just, I mean, it's hard to watch. Like, it's hard to watch, And I think
it's the whitest movie ever.
Well, no. I mean, I hate that too. Right. And that's the other thing is like, I feel bad, like thinking, oh, this was so great. You know what I mean? Like, how do I balance that? Like, oh, this thing that they did was so great with like all the other horrible shit that was going on when people were like this, right? So it's like, like, where's the balance, I guess, is what I'm left, like reading the article Bill sent us, conversations that you and I have had, because I remember like, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago being like, I don't know, bemoaning the loss of print media and you being like, shut the fuck up. Do we still drive around in horse and buggies? Like, progress is progress. And I'm like, yeah, but is it? Because like,
I mean, it's inevitable. And when you fight against it, then you just get this like bullshit of like the past is better. And it's like, that's not better. Like, it's not intrinsically.
And that's not what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm not trying to say the past is better. And that's why I'm like, yeah, like, do I want to sit around singing songs and playing trumpets and being like, burr, 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 Cotton Eye Joe, like, shine the buttermilk, fruit fly?
Of course you do.
No, but like,
you don't. That sounds like fun. Why aren't we doing that? Like, that's super fun.
But like, I mean,
otherwise, what do you stand around talking to people? Jesus Christ, no thanks.
Yeah. Like the fact that I can't even hang out with people without getting on my phone.
Yeah.
And that, again, like that weekend, like, I don't know, maybe it was just some magical weekend. Like, I was hardly on my phone at all. Like,
yeah.
It like died and I went in other rooms and like, whatever. It's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Sure. No, I'm done. Fine. Yes.
No, but you can keep being sad. Walking through a house blowing out candles is my version of flirting, in case you want to know. And then I was like, ooh, they have gaslights.
In the larder is my version of flirting.
You what? Putting the hat in
the larder so I can have an excuse to go look for it.
Like, that's exactly where I left it.
Because that's like the creativity my friends and I had when we were in high school. Like, going to like finding excuses to like, I don't know, go to Smoothie King 4 times in one day.
Sure.
Because the guy works there, driving past their house. Like, we definitely did the house drive by multiple times. Like,
sure. For cute guys, yeah.
Fucking creepy as hell. Borderline stalking,
Yeah, sounds like it.
Pursuing stalking. It's a fine line. Fine line between pursuit and stalking.
Yeah. Boys are useless. There's no point.
It's fucking true. And yet.
Yeah. So then I was like, ooh, gaslights and candles. Sounds like a fucking fire hazard. And then I wrote, neighbor boy is also a schmuck.
Why? Because he told her she smelled like his grandmother?
That was one problem. And then I wondered, did Kale have a second coming? Because I thought the Kale thing that happened like 10 years ago was like the first coming of Kale. But then they were like, that's a lot of kale. They were talking about money or how much they spend on the whatever. And they were like, that's a lot of kale. And I was like, was kale a thing before?
I've heard green before, but I missed that it's a lot of kale. Also, another very strong opinion I have, fuck kale. Ain't no reason to eat some kale. Like,
and I asked if this is the whitest movie ever made, which we've already discussed. And then I wrote, bring back Drag Kids Halloween.
Okay, so this is an area I went down.
Yes, please tell me.
And I texted myself an article.
Good job. Please read me the entire article.
I'm not going to read you the entire article, but it's from history.com. And the title of it is Violence and Vandalism Were Once as Traditional as Candy and Costumes. Because I've kind of always been obsessed with this whole Halloween thing.
Purge.
Yeah, and like throwing flour in people's faces, and I knew they didn't make it up, but yeah, apparently, the candy part, the trick or treating, like there was no treat; it was all just pranks. Yeah. And like everything they do in this movie was stuff that was happening all over the country, like putting a fake dead body on train tracks, like putting people, like farmers' wagons on top of their barns, like letting livestock out, like shit that was like really fucking destructive. Yeah. To the point that a lot of cities and magazines and people were calling for the banning of Halloween. So it's like at first the pranking was pretty innocent and limited to rural places, but as metropolitan areas expanded, kids took the pranking into cities and it became more destructive with setting fires, breaking glass, and tripping pedestrians. 1 year, youth in Kansas City waxed streetcar tracks on a steep hill, causing a vehicle to slip and crash into another streetcar, seriously injuring a conductor.
Too far, kids. Too far.
Yeah. It's time to, when property is damaged or destroyed, it's time to call a halt.
I love that. Always in this fucking country. When property is damaged, we don't care about people.
Yes.
No, make it stop.
The Cook County Herald, so this is in 1902, would advise the public to load their muskets or cannon with rock salt or bird shot, and when trespassers invade your premises at unseemly hours upon mischief bent, pepper them good and proper so they will be effectively cured and have no further taste for such tricks. Oh, and they did take up arms with fatal consequences in Tucson in 1907.
Oh, did they kill children?
Let's see. When pranksters in Tucson, Arizona stretched a wire across a sidewalk to trip passerby in 1907, one pedestrian thrown to the ground drew a revolver and shot dead one of the jokesters. That same year, newspapers reported that a woman in Indiana was literally scared to death when her heart stopped after her daughter answered a knock on the door and screamed when a group of boys thrust a grinning pumpkin lantern in her face.
Oh, okay. Well, that bitch was teetering on the edge of that killed her. Come on.
So yeah, the flour to kill people, like that's a whole thing. Like the cross dressing, I didn't find anything about the drag because that's like usually that's the thing that I kind of like pick up on is the fact that they were in drag. But I think it's like they just try to look like adults. But yeah,
but
they
could have dressed in their own gender to look like adults. Like
yeah, no, I know that was
entertaining to me.
That would be another research for another day to go down. But. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Halloween, man. I don't know.
Yep. So I guess I got bored during this part because I wrote 7 people wrote this movie. 3 of them were women. One of them wrote the book that all of this was based on. So it's kind of like a Louisa May Alcott. Like it's kind of like Little Women, but she just happened to have a brother. And the dad was there instead of off at war. And I think that's part of why this is so endearing to us because it's a woman's perspective growing up.
Yeah.
Which we're always going to we're going to find it easier to see ourselves in than some dude writing about, bullshit that doesn't matter.
fucking coming of age show. I will say I do love the nod toward rampant xenophobia. The man who is like killing cats and beating his wife with a hot poker is like, you know, has this thick accent and da 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 da, you know. So at least the adults are like, oh, he seems so nice and quiet to me.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it's funny to watch the way that adults respond to like the absolute
mayhem,
wildly ridiculous and inappropriate things the kids say, where they're just like, okay. Whereas like, you know, if Elliot said some bullshit like that, I'm like, well, no.
Let's have a conversation.
Yeah, when he's like, oh, well, she's a girl because she has long hair and boys have short hair. And I'm like, yeah, people can have whatever kind of hair they want. Like, that has nothing to do, you know, like everything is a fucking, you know, or I'm like checking out books about skin.
Alejandro had a bun, let me tell you.
Like, I mean, my dude, you know, instead of just being like, oh, that's cute. You think what you're going to think. Like,
some other fun facts about the movie. Margaret O'Brien's mother was her agent, and she was trying to get more money for her out of the studio because she thought they were underpaying her, and because she had already been in movies.
Yeah.
And when they were like, oh no, we'll just hire this other kid instead, and she was like, okay. And then eventually they were like, fine, and they caved and they gave her the money. The other girl's dad worked on the set, and he like pushed a giant heavy light down and tried to murder Margaret O'Brien. Like, it barely missed her. And also,
like, there's proof it was intentional?
Yeah, they like sent him away to the loony bin for a little while. So, and sorry, called the
original
loony bin,
dance moms. Shit.
I know. And then apparently the original lyric for Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, when she says, let your heart be light, originally they wrote it as It May Be Your Last. And Judy Garland was like singing it to Margaret O'Brien, and she's like, I can't sing this to this child. So changed it to Let Your Heart Be Light.
Well, and that's so like, I'm really frustrated because it's so like, you know, that like Elliot's in theater classes and like all this stuff, but it's like they don't let little kids like do anything. And I'm like, kids can act. Like, that little girl was a good actress, right?
Yeah, she was.
Like, you know, I mean, kids can, I mean, yeah, I'm sure it's like a patience thing. Like, it takes longer and you have to be more patient and whatever. But like, you know, I'm like, whatever, you know, I don't know. But I was like, she was good. Like, she was a good little, you know, and she might not actually have been 5. I know she said in the movie.
Oh, apparently she was a little shithead too, because she, when they filmed like the dinner scenes and stuff, she would, they would have everything right. And then she would wait till like the adults weren't looking, and she would like move the cutlery around just to fuck with the prom master. So,
well, of course, she was a little shit. I mean,
yeah.
She's a fucking kid, like, you know.
I was like, Margaret, could you please stop fucking with the cutlery, Margaret, please? Please, sweetie. Tootie is the OG Bryony from Atonement, accusing adults of shit that is not right, like causing problems among people who were in love. And again,
everyone just like, like, no,
well, not whatever Judy Garland's character. She was like, get out of my neck. Yeah.
Like, at the very end of all of that, she's like, I beat him up.
I know, it was funny.
Yeah, like, I mean, she definitely, Elliot Finn channels a little Tootie in that, like, that whole, like, and I want to wear Esther's nightgown, and I want to make a bowl of ice cream, but I got hurt. Like,
yeah.
Without the lie. Like,
and then I like that said it's very difficult for a person to have any kind of personal life in this family. And I was like, oh, it's our family.
Yeah.
You don't get to have a private life.
Yeah.
You get to be in our family. If you want to have a private life, you go be in somebody else's family. Corsets, fuck the patriarchy. And they're talking about Christmas, and she's like, I hope the hunting knife. It's like a gift that she wants. So, like, wretches, like, oh my God.
That red dress, though.
The red dress, I wrote that. I wrote, damn, that red dress. I hate basketball too. It's way too squeaky. Did Rose's dress have rainbow appliques on it? Or like what was going on with the top of it? It was not.
With the what?
But there was like rainbow appliques at the top of Rose's dress, the older sister.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah.
It was very ugly, but then it didn't matter because then
maybe it was like mother of pearl or something.
Then there was Judy Garland in that red dress.
And him asking a 16-year-old to marry him.
Yeah, but hey, the dance reveal is why we love movies and romance, because that was like the perfect little moment. Like
the what?
When she's dancing with her grandfather and he leads her behind the tree.
Around the tree, and then she comes out with him. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's magical movie romance. Like,
well, and like fucking brainwashing bullshit, heteronormative bullshit, where it's like, I want a man who cares enough to go like make the man open the shop so he can come and dance with me. Like, ain't nobody care about it. Like,
well, she couldn't get a whole lot out of him. So, I mean, they had to fight for what they could get, you know?
Well, but that's what I'm saying is like, again, so then that sends that same message that's like,
yeah, fuck the patriarchy.
Yeah, like he couldn't be bothered to leave basketball practice.
Yeah.
But, you know, he like came through in the end, you know, or like whatever.
Hey, that's
like,
an ADHD one right there.
Like, get a watch, motherfucker. Like,
mm-hmm.
Like,
I don't know.
Playing basketball, anyways. It is not your sport.
I don't know why Judy thought that she was going to get any presents, because that kid is definitely on the naughty list. And I don't understand.
Elliot keeps saying that his friend at school, who anytime Elliot gets in trouble, which he actually hasn't been lately, so I'm very proud of that. But, you know, a month or so ago when we'd be like, okay, what happened? Why'd you have to do a reteach? And he'd be like, well, this kid. I'm like, no, every time. Well, blah, blah, blah. And when Ben went on the field trip, he was like, yeah, I think something, you know. I think blah, blah, blah has a little neurodivergence because, you know, and Elliot was saying that he didn't think blah, blah, blah was going to get any Christmas presents because he never listens. So, and then yesterday after dance class is how we had a conversation about neurodivergence, is because there was a new little girl in his class who has Down syndrome. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh, well, there's some new people in her class. He goes, yeah. And one of them was not following directions at all. And so I asked, was it the little girl who had headphones on? And he's like, yeah. And so we talked about how sometimes it's harder for them to follow directions, and that it's something that you learn how to do. And that when you're a kid, it's really hard. And so some brains are different. So I was trying so hard not to use the word disorder, you know?
Yeah.
And that it's just people are different and people's brains work differently, which sometimes makes it harder to fit into bullshit structures of capitalism and, you know, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, so I said that about blah, blah, blah at his school, like, you know.
Yes.
But I was trying to be like, but is he a good person? Does he do things to intentionally hurt people, or does he do things maybe to make people laugh?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
And this also all came out of the fact that Elliot's favorite Christmas song is I'm Gonna Lasso Santa Claus. And how she's like, I'm going to bring the toys that never get any to kids that never get any. And he's like, well, maybe they're not supposed to get any because like they're not on.
Well, he's not doubting that he's going to get toys, right? Like, he thinks he's on the up and up.
Oh, no, he's good. Well, like every now and again, like if he's being an ass, he'll be like, Santa's not going to bring me any toys. I'm like, well, Santa's not going to bring any toys if we don't have room. But like now we 100%, I cannot watch Miracle on 34th Street with him because he's decided he's going to ask Santa for a house.
Yeah.
So.
Why was Judy Garland wearing bubble wrap like a scarf?
It was like a crocheted bead thing. Shut up.
Like bubble wrap. Not cute. I don't know why they thought that was going to be
like keeping her head very warm.
No.
I did notice that in a lot of the other scenes, like so on the trolley scene, she's probably the only woman not wearing a hat.
Yeah.
So like you never see her wearing a hat.
Which is inaccurate for the time because everybody fucking wore hats everywhere. Listen to any episode of The Dollop.
All the time. Hat pins, hats.
All about hats.
All about hats. I still love the trolley. I think the trolley is the winner song of this entire movie.
It was a late song, a late entry, and when they heard, they were like, "This is the Judy song. This is her." She did that in one take.
God damn it!
It's pretty impressive. Too
bad they heard, her voice is so good. Sometimes you hear people singing
vibrato. I can't. It's too much vibrato.
Oh,
I don't mind some, but like with her, it's just too much.
But that's like when the mom and the dad sing, like when they go so high pitched, I'm like, this is good. Like,
yeah, well, that people preferred that then too. So
but yeah.
Oh, Mom and I were having an argument because we watched an episode of we watched an episode of Dancing with the Stars last night from last year, and it was a Whitney Houston tribute. And somebody said Whitney Houston has the greatest female voice or whatever. And Mom was like, I don't know, Ella Fitzgerald. And I was like, Ella Fitzgerald was a very good singer. It seemed like a cool chick. She did not have the range. No. She did not have the power. She didn't. And then Mom was like, oh, I guess you're right. It's like, yes.
Stop being so woke. You're wrong.
Like, they're both black women. What do you care?
Yeah.
You're winning.
Billy, what about Billy?
I mean, yeah, Billie Holiday, I think probably had, I would say a better voice than Ella Fitzgerald. I don't know about Whitney Houston. I mean, Whitney Houston just really, just the vocal range and the texture. I mean, there was
what about Mariah?
I don't like Mariah Carey. What to say about that?
The other day, I was like, y'all want to listen to Christmas music? And my sister's like,
I had to trademark Christmas.
Will you put the NSYNC Christmas album on? And I was like, what the fuck?
No, but I'll put the New Kids on the Block Christmas album on. It was on a red tape. I owned it.
I may put that on cassette, bitches. And it's on cassette, motherfuckers.
I get so upset when it broke. I was like trying to like twist it with the pencil and it would not go back together.
I can remember the cover of that. Like I can see it in my mind's eye.
Mm-hmm.
Like I hate the way my brain works.
So last thought on the first of our Holidaze movies was that Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas is a great, sad Christmas song. But the slow versions of We Need a Little Christmas really get me a lot more.
I'll Be Home for Christmas gets me.
Yeah, that's a good sad one.
Last year, Hard Candy Christmas got me real hard.
Sorry, dude.
But that's because, Dad was dead, so.
Yeah.
Now it's like my power anthem. Like I barely get it through. I was in my car singing it at work on Friday. Like someone pulls up next to me. I'm like, it's cool. Hey, what's up?
Oh, that was a fun thing that happened. So when I walked in, because, funerals are awkward and you don't know what to do. And so like I walked in and I looked and the chapel was this way. And then opposite that was the family. And so I was like, and then there was like a guest book. So I was like, I'll write the guest book. And then I heard my name. And so I was like, okay. So I'm like, can I talk to you? Yes. I was like, Andy, can I hug you? It's like, yes. He was like, Mom, this is Heather. I don't know if you remember. And she's like, oh, but I was like, yeah. I remember one time you guys pulled up next to me and I was just rocking out, singing at the top of my lungs. And Andy was screaming my name. I looked over and I was so embarrassed. She's like, well, I was like, great. And then one of Andy's kids was there. And they were like, I think we met. And I was like, yeah, we definitely ate tacos together. And so they laughed at that. So I was like, okay, cool.
Was this an unexpected or no?
Yeah. I was going to say 81, but yeah, we'll talk about it. But
yeah, that's fine. We don't talk about it on the recording. So
yeah. Okay, just because we talk about everything in our lives doesn't mean we need to share everybody else's tea.
True. I didn't think we were going to talk about Mom being recommended for rehab on the pod, but you went there.
I didn't. I said you don't want to be so who said rehab? What?
I know.
When did that happen? That didn't happen. What are you talking about?
Me and my over exaggerations.
You and your bullshit.
Hey, it happened to Grandma. Do you remember when Grandma turned into Britney Spears and we had to take her alcohol away?
No, I tell people that all the time. Thanks all. That's it for this episode of I Love You But. Join us next week when we discuss the second in our Holidaze. Let's just pretend like it's not as bad as it is. Which will be Miracle on 34th Street, which Ryan cannot watch with her child because it's setting unrealistic expectations.
Or it'll be what convinces him there's no Santa Claus because she got away. And then when he doesn't have like the deed of a house under the tree, which we could talk about it later.
Okay, great. What made you laugh? What made you cringe? What did we forget? And don't you want to text me so that I can put you into future episodes, right? Email us, find us on Threads or Instagram. I might join Blue Sky. I don't know what's going on. We're off X. I deleted the app, so don't go looking for us there. We are at I Love You or at I Love You But Pod or I Love You But Pod at gmail.com. We'd love to feature you on the podcast, so send us some stuff. And hey, if you like us, somebody just downloaded all 67 episodes the other day, so I hope you like us because episodes, man.
Please comment. We'd love to know what you think.
Yeah, take a moment to rate, review, follow, subscribe. All of those things count. If you do like us and you think one of your friends might like us, maybe talk about it. That'd be cool. Send them an episode. Maybe this one. Do they like Christmas? Do they have a sister? They'd love this
67
episode.
67 episodes? We've done that much?
Yeah.
Jeez. We're still not famous?
Thank you for listening, even though we're still not famous. I'm Heather.
I'm Ryan, and we wish you lots and lots of conditional love.
I gotta stop recording so Mom can start her laundry.
Okay.
Bye, dude.
Can I call you on FaceTime, or do you need a minute?
No, you can call me on FaceTime.
Okay.